Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I love making videos about both new updates and proposals, but sometimes I have to add them as a side topic for a video, or wait for multiple blog posts to clump them together, because I like uploading longer videos for you guys to listen during the AFK grind. But last week, Jagex dropped one of the hottest blog posts I have ever seen, with an insane amount of proposals and the changes we have all been waiting for. Boys and girls, I'll be covering every one of these new updates on stream when they go live, so make sure to subscribe with notifications on, drop a like, and to join our Discord with the link in the description to talk about these potential changes as soon as the blog or updates go live. Two things I want to mention quickly is that I know this video is a little late because the blog was posted on Tuesday, but it's still massive enough that I simply want to talk about it. And if it wasn't for my videos, I would not be reading the blogs myself. This is to help out fellow scapers who aren't really aware of proposals and like to learn about them through videos. The second one is that, as always, remember that these are all proposals and that they aren't guaranteed to hit the live game until they pass a poll. We have a massive one ahead of us, so grab your favorite drink and snack, and let's begin. I will go over the blog post in order because I simply cannot rank them from least to most important due to the vast majority being insane QOL for the game. But of course, we are going to start with arguably one of the most controversial changes in recent memory. It's so controversial in fact that Jagex had to go back to the drawing board, and this won't be part of the poll which is alive right now. I will talk about Stackable Clues potentially coming to old school RuneScape as they were proposed to show you why this was controversial, and then talk about potential solutions at the end. Now, if you haven't been active for a while, let me tell you how we got to this point. So, it's 2019, right? And the people start playing Leagues 2 Trailblazer. One of the tier 4 relics was called the Treasure Seeker. This let you stack clues indefinitely to make those clue item tasks much better, and was paired against the natural selection to pick your own Slayer tasks. To say that this was a hard choice would be an understatement. Fast forward to the end of the league, and people like this addition so much that both Twitter and Reddit would see replies and posts about ways to bring stackable clues to the game. Every further iteration of leagues saw the reintroduction of stackable clues, and after the end of each one, more and more people talk about stackable clues. Jagex had always been hesitant about this, which is why it was never formally proposed, and a fun leagues mechanic stayed a fun leagues mechanic for a little bit over 5 years. In March of 2024, Jagex gives us an update that makes untradeable items stay on the floor for 1 hour. And one of the most obvious ways to exploit this was to leave clue scrolls on the ground for 1 hour. If you didn't know, you can only have one clue of each tier in your bank, otherwise no other resource will drop it. With this change, leaving clues on the ground means that you have 1 hour to pick them up and to juggle them to complete multiple per session. To finish the backstory, this was an unintended mechanic that was inherently abused due to the despawn timer, and a lot of players saw this as the new meta of clue scroll completion, despite the Jagex maybe not even thinking about it. I don't even know why the 1 hour despawn timer for untradables was originally added, but it brought with it an issue that people still talk about nearly 1 year later. Poll 84 brought with it a solution to this quote-unquote problem, and instead of players juggling clue scrolls on the ground, we may potentially get stackable clues coming to old school RuneScape along a few new goodies. Now, are they coming exactly as they are in leagues? Well, not quite. After completion of the quest X marks the spot, you will unlock the ability to receive clue boxes instead of clue scrolls. Instead of these being infinite though, you will be able to have a maximum of 2 clue boxes per tier of scroll. This is kinda lame, right? Well, you can earn the right to hold more depending on how much you engage with clue scrolls. In order for you to be able to stack up to 3 clues, you will need to do 50 beginner, 100 easy and medium, 50 hard and elite, and 25 masters. The clue cap goes up to 4 after you complete 100, 200, 250, 150, 150, and 75 of the same tier respectively. The final threshold is unlocked when you defeat the Mimic, but this creature has a pretty cool catch to it. Not only is the Mimic the gatekeeper to the 5th and final stackable clue, but if you defeat the Mimic more than once, a single KC will increase your clue scroll cap by 1 up to the previously mentioned maximum of 5. This means that if you are just doing master clues for the Bloodhound, and you have at least 4 Mimic KC, you'll be able to stack 5 clues immediately. After all of this, you might be wondering, okay, so this isn't really something I need to do because I can just keep stacking clues, right? Well, after all these proposals, Jagex dropped a final bomb which has a lot of people upset, and it is that the way it was initially proposed, the clue scroll despawn timer would have gone back to 2 minutes, get this, regardless of the poll passing or not. Now, if you thought controversy surrounding clues was over, well, get ready because there's even more. Whether the clue changes pass or not, Jagex is offering a way to skip terrible clue steps with something they call skip tokens. These could be a new tradable currency, for now, which will let you skip a single step throughout a clue scroll. A cool thing about them is that these tokens will let you know how many steps a clue scroll has, because you will be given a warning if you're about to use one which would complete the clue, avoiding you wasted this valuable token. These changes don't sound too complicated. The more clues you do, the more you'll be able to stack. And when you get skip tokens, you can use them on their respective tier clue once per scroll on a step you don't like or simply cannot do. In reality, this is the loudest I've seen the community react in a while, even more than the Demon Spade, which was just a fun proposal, and the people were convinced it was going to absolutely break the game. Twitter is, for the most part, absolutely losing their mind about these ideas. But like I said, if this doesn't pass, we are all going to be pretty screwed anyway, because we will have to go back to how clue scrolls used to be. Whether you're a casual clue enjoyer, you like the idea of stackable clues, or you like having 1,000 of them on the ground per session, we'll have to wait and see what the community does when the polls go live. So like I said before, that is how the original idea was proposed for both the stackable clues and the skip tokens. This was received with very mixed reactions, and while we have people loving these proposals, others are saying that it will straight up ruin the game. And if you really think about it, we have a few possible solutions to make everyone happy. I'm not a developer or anything, so here's what I would do. First, keep stackable clues and let people have the same cap of 5 after interacting with clue scroll content. The more you do, the bigger the benefit should be. Second, skip tokens should 100% be untradeable. If you don't like this idea, simply don't use them and you can do clues as normal. Or maybe give us the ability to toggle them like we're able to toggle the mimic. And finally, despite me not agreeing with the 1 hour despawn timer for clues, I personally doesn't really devalue my achievements, so let people have 1,000 of them on the ground per session if that's how they like to play. Okay, so let's move on from controversies and cover some extremely exciting changes, starting with a potential rework for the Abyssal Sire. This encounter is one of the most painful experiences in the game because of how slow it can be. For those of you who don't know, or you have never fought the Abyssal Sire, you stun the monster with a shadow spell to deactivate the tentacles around it. This will let you damage the 4 vents respectively, and when all of them are dead, the Sire will walk down from its throne and start attacking. Deal enough damage for him to go to the middle, dodge acid pools and the belly explosion at the end, and you finally got your KC. One of the worst parts is that if your DPS is not good enough, the vents can take several hits to die, making this encounter for people without mega weapons or demon bane weapons a pain in the ass. Jagex's proposal goes as follows. You might still need to stun the Sire, but you will now need to defeat 2 respiratory systems right next to it, meaning that the 2 at the back will only be there for visual effect. Not only this, but we might be able to one-shot the vents with a demon bane weapon, and to avoid running a ton, the Scorching Bow or the Purging Staff will be the way to go. Even without the demon bane weapons, Jagex plans on giving us increased damage for this to go by even faster anyway. The time it takes to wait for the Sire to walk down will be a lot shorter, and we'll be wasting less time during the encounter. Now, this all sounds like the Sire might turn into a boss you can farm extremely quickly, like Kraken or Zulrah, right? To mitigate this, it will receive 50% damage reduction, along a hefty increase in HP to make up for how much faster these mechanics will be. Unlike the clue scroll poll, which might be hit or miss for a few players, I think we can all agree that this poll will pass with over 95% of votes, because I have never met anyone who likes doing the Abyssal Sire, myself included. And speaking of Zulrah, we have some cool proposals for the Money Snake as well. This one is also sort of inspired by leagues, and it doesn't seem to be as powerful as clue scrolls. Short and simple, we are given the choice to vote on being able to melee Zulrah with halberd weapons. To speedrun fanatics, this might sound like an issue, but Jagex confirmed that this is not going to make melee significantly stronger, and that ranged and mage will still be super powerful against it. The only thing that might change is that melee could be a little more effective during red phase, but with only one type of weapon available to hit it like this, they are pretty confident that this is not going to break the meta too much. Chambers enjoyers, this is for you. Do you remember a proposal we had a while ago where Jagex toyed with the idea of letting us use Chambers tokens to make our own layouts? Well, this idea returns, but it's not going to need any currency at all. If this passes, we will be able to generate a challenge mode style layout in which rooms will appear in the same predictable order. The reasoning behind this is to give players the ability to practice specific rooms without having to refresh for several minutes at a time, and for you just to go in and get some reps going for the crab room, tightrope skip, and tecton flitching, to mention a few, although you can already do this with a challenge mode layout for tecton specifically. This might sound like a concern for some people, because if you do regular chambers, you might as well do the same quick layout over and over again to get a purple, right? Well, according to the blog, this is not going to have any impact on the number of points you will get, but if you get a layout you're still comfortable with, it will naturally lead to more completions, and motivating people to give this a try, while skipping rooms they simply do not enjoy. Demonic gorillas are also getting some love, and the first to change is that when you finish Monkey Madness 2, they'll be non-aggressive when you roam around the cave. Oddly enough, there's no mention of tortured gorillas, but we will have to wait and see how these behave, even though people really don't go for these and focus on demonics instead. Jagex will also change the way their prayer protections behave, and will now switch every 70 damage instead of 50. They're also removing the, quote, 3 successful attacks trigger entirely. This will make it so the battles are smoother, giving people with higher damage output a little more time to breathe between attacks. I say will through most of this because Jagex is not polling these, and we'll see how interactions go to know if they should tweak these in the future. This is a quick one for Irons. Jagex proposes the idea of being able to chisel statues dropped from Revenants for you to obtain Revenant Ether, to charge your weapons, or even your Bracelet of Ethereum. They emphasize the idea that this is not a moneymaker and might potentially offer less value in Ether as opposed to simply trading them in. If you're an Iron low on Ether, it might be a good time to go to Revenant again. We then have a few new shortcut proposals, some of which are massive, and if you ever see anyone voting no on these, they literally ate the glue when they were kids. We have one for Castle Drakan, hopefully near the Master Stash unit, the Reroll Castle Garden to avoid going inside the castle, one in Proud Spire that goes both ways at the top of the mountain in Valimor, one in Fossil Island that will take you from the tower to the small island north, and then 2 new shortcuts in the Slayer Tower for quicker access to Banshees. The final one is that it takes you from the bottom straight to the top floor. Just like the shortcuts to the Dagonot Kings and the VLD Caves, these are absolutely insane, and I don't see them not passing the poll. We close out with a bunch of small changes that still deserve a quick mention, so you know what you will be voting for. And of course, to give you a few pros and cons, if and when applicable. Being quality of life, these will almost always be positive, but you never know when these might impact your favorite Snowflake, one tile, one chunk Ultimate Collection logging Nightmare mode account. We will be given the ability to edit our Grand Exchange offers without necessarily having to abort the current offer and putting in a new one with a different price. I love this one because sometimes you just want to buy an item as soon as possible, and you might not find the correct price to buy something. This is a weird one, but we could get a new button in the bank interface that not only stores our containers, but also empties them, avoiding the need to manually doing so. This applies to things like coal bag, herb sack, plank sack, and more. Going back to the Grand Exchange, it would get a new feature called Repeat Last Offer. Instead of putting in another offer for the same item, you could recreate your previous action with fewer clicks. I guess when it comes to OSRS, people really don't like wasting a single second. Jagex also mentioned something called Standardized Reward and Deposit Interfaces. Sometimes, interacting with these interfaces might feel a little spaghetti, but whenever you implement these changes, they will all behave the same so you don't have to remember which one behaves differently. We will be offered Chinchampa Insurance, which will let you, well, insure Chinchampas in case you die with a big stack. If you didn't know, if you perish with your explosive friends on you for non-PvP encounters, they will all disappear, leaving you with a big hole in your pocket. If this passes, Chinchampas will simply go to your grave if you die to a monster or a boss. If you die to a PKer, the entire stack will be for them like it does now. If you like AFK activities, you surely know about bonfires. Adding logs to existing fire currently gives you 33% of the log's experience as a penalty for training firemaking without paying attention. This time, Jagex proposes bringing the experience back to 100%, but you will be burning logs at a much slower rate. This is a completely fair update I expect passes by a landslide, because there's just no drawback to it. For those who haven't done the medium Karamja diary, especially if you're an iron account, you may know about the elusive gout tuber, which you need to trade in for a machete. For some odd reason, the higher your woodcutting level, the harder it is to find the one during the Shiloh Village cleanup minigame. Jagex are flipping this, and the higher your level, the higher the chances of finding one when fully chopping bushes around the area. There's a final change which mentions whitelisting the Encanto Hammer as something you can take to Entrana, because despite having 0 stats, the monks won't let you on the island if you bring it with you. I don't even know why this is pulled, but if it doesn't pass, I don't even know what the reason might be. Before we finish the video, time for a lightning round of Unpolled Changes, since they simply represent quality of life with a literally 0 drawback and or controversy around them, like Stackable Clues or skip tokens. Bird nests will automatically empty after you click one of them. If you get a bird nest with a beginner clue on a member world, you will now keep the nest. The settings menu will be a lot easier to navigate for new players, adding helpful tips to the chat for newcomers. The Wise Old Man will offer more requests for players who interact with this activity. The Shades of Morton coffin will get a new option empty when the bank is open. Fishing spot won't be delayed when moving anymore. And you can toggle snow effects at Waterbirth Island. Nailing bonus actions perfectly at the Giant's Foundry will now recover a portion of missed quality after you make a mistake. No more delays when you ask your cat to chase rats. Hunter traps will now be easier to set up. Every single hunter trap is now stackable. You can use small meat pouches in your bank. The Tower of Life encounters are now guaranteed, and the chance of finding nothing is gone. And finally, the warmth meter at the Winter Toad will now be a little more narrow to avoid clutter on screen. That's pretty much it about Poll 84, which is one of the biggest ones I've seen in recent months. And if you guys use Twitter and or Reddit, make sure to go check those out to see what people have to say, especially about the clue scroll changes. I have a lot to say about it, but I will leave my unfiltered opinion for my stream, where we get a little more wild. For now, I don't see any of these failing, but the ones about clues have me a little scared. Regardless, make sure to vote when the poll goes live. So ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned about what's potentially coming to the game. If you did, tell me what you think of Stackable Clues or any of the updates we talk about in this video, and if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the people you see on screen for further supporting the channel monetarily. All your contributions help both my family and a local animal shelter we donate to every month. If you want to be part of this list of legends, click the join button below to see all the cool perks and benefits you can get for a monthly fee in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. In the next one, we will actually go over the mid-game money-making methods I promised you guys, since we took a little detour because of this massive blog post. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.